Hello, I'm Mariefiebach of feedyourfamilytonight.com, and today we are making one of my favorite treats. It is fried goat cheese. Now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to fry and bread this goat cheese. It is perfect for a salad, and what's great is you can actually make it ahead. Goat cheese usually comes in a round that is either 4 or 8 ounces. The little short ones are 4 ounces, and that's what this recipe is designed for. What you're going to do is you're going to cut the goat cheese into 6 rounds, and I usually just like to kind of mark it before I cut, and then after I slice each slice, I think it's really important to wipe off your knife so that you can get a good clean cut. You want to make sure that your goat cheese is really cold when you're doing this, because if it's too soft and it's not super cold, it's going to be hard to cut. I've actually frozen the goat cheese before, and I find that it's actually harder to cut when it's frozen. It tends to break apart, and if it does break apart, you just kind of squeeze the round back together. Once you have it cut into 6 rounds, we're going to prepare a breading station. We're going to start with some flour and some panko. I'm using whole wheat panko today, and I'm adding a ½ teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of dried thyme, and then I add about a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. I don't really measure it, I just kind of ground a little bit of black pepper over the top. And then you're just going to mix that with the panko. It's going to season a little bit, and we're going to get an egg wash here. This egg wash is 1 egg that's beaten with a teaspoon of water. My pan is starting to get hot here, so I'm going to start getting my oil ready to heat up. I have a tablespoon of olive oil and a tablespoon of butter. That combination of the oil and the butter is going to make these taste really, really good when they're fried. To bread them, you're going to dip the goat cheese into flour. I have a 1/4 cup of flour here. Then you're going to dip it into the egg wash, and you're going to transfer it to the panko breadcrumbs and cover it. Then you're going to go back in the egg wash again, because you want to get a nice thick coating on this. You don't want to have the cheese ooze out of the coating, and so by double breading it, it really makes this extra crispy. You're going to coat it the second time, and then you can put it straight into the pan to cook, or you can put it into the freezer for about 5 minutes, which really helps them firm up. And if you want to make these ahead, you can freeze them ahead of time, but just make sure you bring them up to temperature for about 10 minutes. Otherwise, the cheese is not going to melt all the way through when you're frying it. It's going to take about a minute to a minute and a half per side. And you want to do this on not too high of a heat, kind of a medium heat. If you have it too hot, it'll burn before the cheese gets melted, and nobody wants that. So again, I'm breading this once, and then I'm dipping it back into the egg and breading it again so that you get a nice thick coating. And then I'm frying it in that pan. I like to serve fried goat cheese on a salad, and the fried goat cheese is salty and tangy, and it's really important to balance those flavors out with a little bit of sweetness. The salad that I have here, I actually made with a pomegranate vinaigrette that has a little bit of sweetness. It's really good if you have some beets, some roasted beets, that adds some sweetness, or some fruit like some cut up strawberries or cut up apples, something that adds a little sweetness to balance the tartness. This full recipe is available at feedyourfamilytonight.com. And if you have any questions about the recipe, you can visit me in the Feed Your Family Tonight Facebook group. I'm always there to answer your questions and would happy to connect with you there.